Good morning, students. In last class, we have discussed the loss of biodiversity, the loss of biodiversity. So here, loss of biodiversity is mainly taken place. The species which are presenting, they are becoming into an extinct. The species are becoming into an extinct species. So due to an extinct species, here the loss of biodiversity is taken place. But here the species which are lost, that we can taken place by the fifth mass of an extinction or extinction. Here mass of extinction means here a large number of species are the large number of species are becomes extinct, becoming into an extinct. Then this condition we can call as the mass of an extinction. So that here, that is the mass of an extinction, where it is taken place, the fifth mass of an extinction that will be taken place, that is the species which are extinct species. Extinct species are, one is we can call as a dodo, second one is a quagga, and the third one is a thylacine, and the fourth one is a stillers cow, and the fifth one we can take in place as the three species of tiger, such as one we can call as Java, Bali and Caspian. So these are the species where these are becoming into an extinct species, that is will taken place on a fifth mass of an extinction, that species are taken place. And nowadays the species which are becoming into an extinct, that is taken place by the sixth mass of an extinction. This sixth mass of extinction is taken place by an anthropogenic, that is taken place by sixth mass of extinction, that is anthropogenic means here the extinction, the species, that is anthropogenic means it is man-made extinction, that is a man-made extinction. That means man is helpful for mating of the species are extinction. The species are becomes into an extinct due to the several activities of the human beings. By the several activities of human beings for the benefit of the humans, here we are disturbing the species which are present in the environment or on the earth. They are distributed, that are disturbed by the human beings. So here we can use the word as the anthropogenic, which is taken place by a sixth mass of an extinction. So here what is an extinction? Extinction means the species which are not present on an earth's surface, they are extinct. That means the species which are not present on the earth's surface, so that species are called as an extinct species. That means here the species are not be presenting, the species are not be presenting. So we can call them. So the species which are we can call as an extinct species. Extinct species that will be taken place in a book of called as, that means collection of extinct species we can taken place the book, that book we can call as a red data book. Red data a book. So what is the red data means? Here the species which are becoming to the an extinct, that will be, that means the species which are extinct, that will be present in a book called as red data book, where it was explained by the Peter Scott. It was written, it was explained by Peter Scott in 1960s. He explains the species which are extincting that given in the book called as a red data a book. In this red data book will having one we can call as a threatened species. Second one is endangered species. Endangered species and vulnerable species. Vulnerable species and extinct species. So here the species which are presenting threatened species means the species are species number is very less and where it becomes to the an extinct. So such that means that species are very less in number and becoming into the an extinct. So such species are called as the threatened species and endangered species. Here endangered species means their number is more. That means species number is more. That means species number is more. But if you neglect here, if you neglect, the species will becomes into an extinct. That means in near future, the species are more, or that means less. They are presenting more only. But in future, if you neglect, here this species will becomes into an extinct. So such species are called as an endangered species. Here vulnerable, these are also more are presenting. The species are the more are presenting. If you neglect, so these also in future these species also will becomes into an extinct. So such species are called as the vulnerable species. And fourth one, the endemic species. What are endemic species means? The species which are present at the species present at particular geographical area only. Particular geographical area. That means the species which are presenting, they are present at a particular geographical area only, where else not be presenting. Here, where else are not be presenting. So such species are called as the endemic species. Example, here you can take in place as a Kerala rat. Example, Kerala rat. So these are the species, or otherwise best example we can take in place the kangaroos, where they are presenting at a particular place only, then where else they are not be presenting. So such a species, that means they are present at a particular geographical area only, the species are presenting. Then such type of species are called as the endemic species. So we can call them as an endemic species. So these are the where you can see in a red data book. Now coming to the causes of biodiversity. So now coming to the causes of the biodiversity. Causes of biodiversity. So here there are four causes are presenting, where we can call as four quartal evils. We can call as quartal and evils. So here we are having the four factors, that means four causes are presenting. That four factors are one we can call as the fragmentation loss. The fragmentation loss, and second one is first one is the fragmentation loss, second one is over exploitation, that is overgazing or overpopulation, overgazing. Exploitation, and third one is the alien species introduction, alien species introduction, and last one is the coexistence. So these are the four factors. One is the fragmentation loss, and second one is over exploitation, and the third one is alien species introduction of alien species, and lastly that is coexistence. So here the fragmentation loss. Here the fragmentation loss means here the ecosystem which is presenting, it makes into a fragments. It makes into the small fragments, where here the losing of the habitat. So here we can use the loss of habitat and fragmentation. Loss of habitat and fragmentation. So here what is the loss of habitat and fragmentation means? Here habitat means the place where the living organisms are presenting, that are totally will be losing, and it is divided into small fragments. So we can call as the loss of habitat. That means here the place is disturbed. And it enters into the, and the species are becomes fragmented, becomes into a fragmented. So here we can call that as loss of habitat or a fragmentation loss we can take in place, where here the fragmented, for example, if you see in a tropical forest, if you see in a tropical forest, where it is presenting in the 14%, it is presenting by this due to the loss of is here it comes into the 6% it is producing. So here due to this 14 to 6% here loss of habitat is taken place, and the species which are present in this they are distributed to different regions of the earth surface. So that what happens here, gradually due to the environmental factors, some amount of species are becomes into the an extent due to the various environmental factors that is taken place, where tropical forest is converted, 14% is converted into a 16% due to the benefit of the a man, a kind we are taken place. And also here, if you see in an Amazon forest, here the Amazon forest is called as lungs of the earth. Lungs of the earth. Why means? Why you can call it as the lungs of the earth means it provides, that means the Amazon forest will provide the 20% of atmospheric oxygen is produced by an Amazon forest only. So that what happens here, these Amazon forests which are presenting, which we can take in place as the lungs of the earth. So here these provides oxygen for the earth surface for the organisms. But these Amazon forest is cut, deforested due to the deforestation. Here a deforestation is taken place. Due to the deforestation, here what happens, this due to the deforestation, here they cultivating the soya beans, and also for the grass, and also cultivating of the grass for the benefit of the man, a kind. So when these are taken place, here what happens that are distributed, that means here the species which are present in an ecosystem, they are losing their habitat and they are divided into a fragments, so that here due to this factor, here a causing of a biodiversity, that means the species which are presenting gradually they decrease their number in these, that is the first one, that is a fragmentation, that is the fragmentation, that is habitat loss, and a fragmentation is taken place, that is a factor which is helpful for the species becoming into the an extinct. Next, the second one is the over exploitation. Here over exploitation means here we can use the word the need of greed, a need of greed. That means whenever it is presenting, that means whenever the resources are presenting, here increase their number, and here helpful for the decreasing, that means here over exploitation, that means increase the productivity. The species are more. Here what happens, here the species are more, it helpful for the over and exploitation. That is which leads to the grazing of, that means for example if you take in place overgrazing, overfishing, and also these are the factors where it helpful for if the species are, that means need of a greed, that means when the species are presenting here, a competition is taken place between these species, so that here what happens, the species are more are presenting, the species which get the food materials or food or any other shelter, that species will be survival, and remaining species will gradually becomes into the an extent. Why means here due to the overgazing or overfishing or over exploitation, or we can take in place or over mining, here due to the species which are presenting gradually they becomes into the an extinct will be taken place. For example, if we take in place a stiller cows, example we can take in place the stiller sea cow. So where it is extended, likewise here passenger pigeon, the passenger pigeon, due to these two species are taken place during overgazing. Due to the overgazing, the species are becomes into the an extinct will be taken place. That is the factor where the second one is over exploitation. That means when it is need is taken place, here the competition is taken place, so that here the species which are presenting that in greed will be taken place. That means total overall of the population. That means if they are not able to get sufficient amount of food, shelter or any other environmental factors, gradually the species which are presenting will lead to the death. So such condition, the second factor we can call as an an exploitation. And third one, if we coming to the third one, introducing of alien species. Introducing of alien species. Here alien species means the foreign species. Here introducing of a foreign species into the India or into the Indian species, then we can call that as the introducing of alien species. That means for the various factors. That means here due to the having, for example, if we taken place a water hyacinth, or we can call that as a cornea. So here these are what are these are foreign species. We are brought into Indian species for what means due to having a flower, due to the morphological structure. That means leaves are beautiful in structure and also flower also very beautiful in structure. Due to this we are introduced this species into India, so that what happens here the species, due to the spreading of these cornea, the Indian species are gradually will becomes into an extinct. Likewise African catfish, example if we taken place another example, African catfish. So here these catfishes are African catfishes are introduced into the Indian catfishes. So here the African catfishes gradually kills the catfish for their survival. So that here due to the introducing of the alien species, alien means foreign species are introducing into our India or into our earth surface or into the India. So that here what happens, our species are gradually will becomes into an extinct. So here due to the various factors, here due to the morphological structure of the plant or beautiful structure of flowers or fruits or otherwise the leaves or various are benefiting of these, here we are introducing these species into the India, so that here we are what happens, our species are gradually becomes into extinct. So that it is also one of the cause of the biodiversity, that is introducing of alien species. And next coming to the fourth one. Now coming to the fourth one. That fourth one is a coexistence. Coexistence means here the species which are presenting here coexistence. That means one species is presenting in another organisms. That means the species are here a mutualism. Here we can take in place as a mutualism. Mutualism means they are both are benefiting with one another. So here co means coexistence. Co means together existing. That means if two organisms are living together with the benefit of one another, with the benefit of one another. So we can call that as a coexistence. Otherwise we can use the word as a mutualism also. That means both are benefiting with one another. So the species are not harmful with one another, that are both are benefiting with one another without doing any harm. So that here we can see as example, we can take in place as otherwise a parasitism also. A parasitism. Here a parasitism, both the species are benefiting. So here in this parasitism, one is benefiting, another is harmful. But here it will not be taken place. Why means here this will be coexistence. One species is died, the other species also will be dies. For example, if plants are not be presenting, example, if we take a plants are presenting, here the animals are present. Here if plants are died, the animals automatically, the plants are also will be dies. Likewise, in the host organism, parasite and host. Parasite and a host. Here host organism is presenting, that means the host will provide food material for parasite, so parasite will be loose. So if the host organism is dies, the parasite organism also will be dies. So this condition we can call them as a coexistence. That means both two organisms are living together with benefiting with one another. So this process we can call as an extinction. If one species is presenting, if one species are extinct, the other species also will becomes into an extinct. So such condition we can call this as a coexistence. So these are the four factors. One is the habitat loss and fragmentation, overexploitation, and third one is the introducing of alien species, and lastly that is a coexistence. So if one species is benefited, another species is benefited. That means both are live together. If one species is died or extinct, the other species also will becomes an extinct. So this condition we can call as a coexistence. Now coming to the utility of a diversity. So now coming to the next one, that is the conservation of biodiversity. Conservation of biodiversity. So what is the conservation means? Here humans are the dominant species. Humans are a dominant species. A dominant species. So here the species, the dominant species which are present, the humans, were here for the benefit of the mankind. For the benefit of mankind. For benefit of mankind. Here the species should be conserved. That means conservation means we are protecting the species, not becoming due to the conserving as well as exploitation, and also we are able to conserve the species for the future generations also. So the species which are presenting, you have to conserve. That means that's for what means what to conserve. Why you have to conserve the species means here we are able to get. That means here due to the biodiversity, here the species which are presenting in biodiversity, they are very useful and aspects are presenting. These are a very beneficial aspects are taken place. That is mainly the humans are the humans are more like benefited. Why means here we will having the various types of biodiversity. That means biodiversity will provides and various utility for the mankind, for the benefit of the mankind, in the form of there are three types of and utilities are presenting. Utilities of mankind, or utility of conservation, utility of conservations, utility of conservation of a species, So here we'll having there are three types are presenting. One we can say as a narrow utilization. Utilitarians, and second one is the second one is broad utilitarians, and third one is an ethical utilitarian. That means narrow utilizations, a broad utilizations, and an ethical and utilizations. So here a narrow, that is narrow utilizations. Here narrow utilizations will be taken place by the benefit of the, that is food materials, as well as here we can able to get food and also the medicinal plants, medicinal plants, and also here we are able to produce industrial products, industrial products. So here the various types of benefits are taken place by the narrow utilization of the, that is narrow utilization. One is food, that means here we are getting various types of food materials or food grains such as cereals or pulses or grains. So various types of the grain cereals are producing, and these are, and also we are able to getting the cotton seeds, or we are manufacturing of clothes. Various types of the seeds are getting for the benefit of the mankind. And also here a medicinal plants. Here medicinal plants means we are able to get the medicinal values from these plants, from this conservation of these plants. Here we can able to get various medicinal values are able to produce. For example, you take best example tulsi and neem. So these are having most medicinal values where they are presenting, and antioxidants are presenting where these are helpful for the conservation. That means these are useful for the mankind, and also if you conserve these species, we can able to, for future generation also we can able to show these type of species, that is mainly the conservation of species of biodiversity. And also we are able to get the industrial products like tannins, resins, gums. Here these are the various types of substances, that is tannins, resin, latex, and also we are able to get gums. So from these we are having various medicinal, that means either plants or animals. Here animals can use for the hides, for making of hides, that is belts or any other structures. We can able to go for an industrial products which are produced, that are narrow, and utilizations are taken place in the conservation of biodiversities. And also a broad, if you see in the broad, here will having broad will shows that you will having here the broad utilizations. Here a broad utilizations will shows that the produce, first one we can able to produce, first one will shows that the producing of the oxygen, and the second one is the pollination of plants and animals, the pollination of plants and animals. Pollination, that is here will taken place the pollination. So here these are the two factors where we can able to get the broad utilization for conserving of by the conservation of biodiversity. Why means here oxygen, here we are able to get from Amazon forest. Here we are able to get a 20% of oxygen is produced, that is here the 20% of oxygen is produced from the Amazon forest, where we are getting more amount of oxygen is, so that here Amazon forest we can call them as the lungs of the earth. Lungs of the earth. Why means here more amount of oxygen is produced from the Amazon forest, that is 20% is produced, and these is useful for the benefit of the mankind. And also here due to the afforestation, if deforestation is taken place, if you make deforestation of these Amazon forest or a tropical forest, here what happens, the rains are not be produced, so here we are not able to get a plenty of water is not produced. So if forests are presenting, we can able to get a more amount of the rainfall is taken place. When rainfall is taken place, we are able to get a more amount of the resources are produced, so that we can able to get sufficient amount of oxygen. And due to this here, due to the transpiration, here what happens, more amount of water we are able to get, and also here due to that is mainly a broadening conditions. And the second one, if you say in here a pollination, here pollination means the transfer of pollen grains from anther to the stigma of the flower. So here when pollination is taken place, here plants are benefiting with the animals are also benefited. So here due to this what happened, due to conserving of a species, here the species we are able to get a broad utilizations are taken place, where here plants are benefited along with the animals will get sufficient amount of food materials from the plants. And plants will able to get the transpiration of that is transfer of anther to the stigma of the flower. So here pollination is taken place, here fruits and seeds and fruits formations are taken place, so that we can able to get a sufficient amount of an essential elements are produced on the for the conservation of a species, that is by the that is broad and utilizations. And lastly, an ethical. Here ethical will shows that a moral. It shows that a moral issues. That means morally. That means here the conservation of biodiversity will shows a moral issues. That means here a moral means here we can able to get an aesthetic values, a cultured or religious beliefs are taken place. So due to the religious beliefs and aesthetic conditions or spiritual conditions, here we can able to get some amount of moral can be taken place, so that these species for future generation we can able to spread, we can show this type of species for the moral. So these are the three utilizations where we have to able to conserve the species, that is conservation of biodiversity, that is narrow utilization, a broad utilization, and lastly we can call that as an ethical and utilization. So in next class we will discuss that is conservations. There are two type of conservations are presenting. One is in situ and an ex situ conservations, that we will discuss in the next class.